Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining us for another Academy for Enterprising Girls webinar. Today's guest is Amanda Rose. Amanda is the founder of 6 businesses. She's also a mentor, career advisor, keynote speaker, and a regular media commentator on all things business and careers. Her motto is, if you're going to play the game, you've got to learn to play it right. So here with How to Play is Amanda Rose. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, and what a good intro. It's true about playing the game, so I'm glad you mentioned that.
So you founded your first business at the age of just 19.
Yes.
Were you always business-minded?
Yes, always. So there's a rule of thumb that whatever it is that you like to do when you're younger, it's pretty much what you're meant to do when you're older. And it's in different ways. So if you're the type that always likes to create all the time, then you probably be doing something in the creative industries or creating yourself, or if you like to analyze things, or if you like to teach, or if you like to start businesses all the time, essentially that's your destiny.
So is that what you were like when you were young? Were you starting businesses in your school holidays?
Oh, that's the thing. I actually rarely just went out with my friends. I was starting businesses and like a babysitting business, and I started a cafe. I was doing absolutely anything I could to stimulate the mind, but I also liked teaching. Right. So I would always want to be a teacher, and I like justice. And it was interesting because all of those three things put together is actually what I do now.
It's interesting. So is there anything that you wish you'd known back then when you were starting out your business journey?
Goodness, how long have you got? So essentially I came from a working class family. So I didn't come from a business family. I didn't come from the business mind. And I actually think that was beneficial because I understood the workings and people more than I did business. However, if I could go back, what I would do is start saving money, even if it was a small amount, put aside into a bank account for that one time or when you're older that you need cash to start your business. So I did everything I did in my business without a bank loan, and that was a personal decision because I didn't want debt. Didn't want that type of debt and that pressure. But the thing is, if you start saving now, think in 10 years from now and 20 years from now, you'll have a little, pot of money you can invest. You can invest in yourself, and you can invest in education, anything you need to help with your business.
I think that's really good advice as well, because I think some people might be watching this and thinking, I might not come from a privileged family, therefore that's a massive obstacle for starting my own business. So it's great that you are evidence of somebody that's been able to really just work hard, make some good financial decisions early, and then kickstart this amazing business. What was it, out of interest? What was the first business that you started?
Well, the very first one was marketing and graphic design for sole traders. So, but focusing more on the tradie business. So coming from a tradie family, I wanted to help people that, were plumbers, carpenters, and so forth, help get clients essentially. And I self-taught with graphic design back in the day before Canva. So you have Canva now, so use it. But then I did marketing as well, and I loved it, except I realized it was also limiting with scalability, which is what I wanted.
It's interesting how you taught yourself graphic design. I think that's another obstacle, as well as the privilege point that I raised earlier. But some people might go, I didn't learn that at university, or I haven't been formally taught how to market, or what do you say to that?
Look, there's two things, right? So I have technically 3 degrees, and I've been to TAFE, and I've also self-taught SEO when it first came out, search engine optimization and graphic design and everything. So don't see anything as a barrier. You've got to be strategic about it. For example, if the industry you want to get into, they won't take you seriously without a degree, then you get one, right? It's as simple as that. If you need to learn graphic design, then go and enroll in a course. At the moment, there's a lot of free courses out there with the government. Go and ask your teachers, do what you can. Self-teaching is powerful, and a lot of people don't realize if you go to YouTube, you can teach yourself pretty much anything, right? And with Canva, you're set. But don't let that be a barrier. Don't think, I'm not really good with numbers. Well, that's a load of rubbish. You can practice and train yourself and go to a course, save up, get tutoring, whatever it is you need to do to get better at that. So don't see, I don't know something as a barrier. I'm continually learning, and I'm always looking for the next thing to study or to learn, and it's always in line with what I'm doing in business.
I love your tip about going to YouTube, because somebody's always had the same problem. They've just made it into a beautiful new video for you to learn something new.
That's right. You know, I remember I was doing an ebook and on Canva, and I was opened YouTube, and within 30 seconds I got the idea of it, and boom, done.
Do you think that might be the secret to your success then? That you might get a door closed in your face, but you find the side window and you weasel your way in? Like, are you one of those people that doesn't take no for an answer?
Interesting. So for every no, there's a yes around the corner, but somewhere else, right? So if a door is shut in my face, I don't go back to that door, right? So I will find another door, because not until you get in there, and you just have to take my word for it now, ladies, but it's not to get into the business world. There are so many opportunities. Like, don't get upset because one person said no, or even because 100 people said no. There are so many yeses waiting for you. But if you keep flogging that same door and you keep knocking on it, and they've said no, it's no, move on. But I think we need to, it's a numbers game essentially. We need to just keep going. Momentum is really, really important in business, to keep moving forward, even if it's the tiniest little step. But don't be disheartened by all the no's. I've had no's. I've had people laugh at me. I've had people mock me. I've had people say, you know, you're never going to make it, and rant, you know, look how that turned out.
And so how do you manage when somebody is making you feel like that? How have you been able to build those tools so that you can bounce back from some pretty negative feedback?
Yeah, and it happens a lot. So don't think it's just happening to you. It's actually happening to everyone. So, and people can be really nasty, even when you're adult. So the thing is, you don't take it personally. And I know it's easier said than done, but you need to look logically at the situation. They're saying this to you because they see in you what they don't see in themselves. They see potential in you. They see optimism. They see ambition. They see that success that's in your eyes, that it's going to happen. I can see it in people now, in young girls, and I love seeing it. Some people don't, and they'll try and squash it, right? Say nothing. I don't respond. Get on with it. Move on with life. And if you're on social media and there's people doing it to you, please utilize the block function.
Speaking from experience.
Absolutely. I block daily, and this is no joke. My block function takes 3 minutes to scroll with the list, right? Because you've got to control the people that surround you. And if they're putting you down, do you think they're going to give you business? No. Do you think they're going to refer you? No. Do you think they're going to support you? No. So why are they in your circle?
Yeah. Just on that, you know, making sure that you've got good people around you. Who's been your biggest mentor, role model in your career?
Oh, they'd be my mum.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So there's always someone in your network. Could be a teacher. It could be a dad. Could be a brother. Could be your cousin. Could be your nonna. Could be anyone. But mum was my mum. And the thing is, we don't often like hearing what wise counsel tell us when we're younger. But at least my rule of thumb is just give it a try. So if someone very wise and very calm, so get a mentor that's someone that's calm, that can handle situations, right? Because it means that they're quite resilient. And if they give you advice, take it, try it, right? There's no harm. They've been there before you. And if you don't have someone, seek out someone. Ask someone. Ask a teacher that you might have had, or someone that you admire, and ask them some questions, and can you help me?
You're a mentor to a number of people.
Yes.
What advice do you give out the most? What's like Amanda's guaranteed line of advice for young people?
I'd say 2 things. One, stop worrying about what everyone thinks of you. It really makes zero impact, right? Worry about your audience, your target market. Be, you know, business minded at all times, and don't give up. You know, be irrepressible. Like, someone's pushed you down, bounce back up. You know, don't get back up on your feet and keep going. Don't let a bad situation, a failure, we all fail. Don't let that stop you. Just keep going, even if it's a tiny amount. But definitely stop worrying about what people think of you. Oh, if I speak in public, they're going to laugh at me. Who cares? You'll do it again and again, and you'll get better at it. You know, but if you worry about what people think of you, you will never break out of your shell. You will never move forward, and you'll just stay with the rest of the crowd.
Yeah, totally. I've got a question that's just come through from Miriam. She says, you've had so many different businesses. How did you know when to let one go and start another? Or did you work on them all at once?
That is a brilliant question, right? I have actually let businesses go. So the one that I started, very first started, I wound that up in a week.
Yeah.
So I made the decision, went, this is not scalable. I can't do anything. Boom. So I got rid of it and I rebranded myself. Now, when it comes to multiple businesses, the rule of thumb is focus on one, right? Build that. Build the brand, build the profitability, and it doesn't have to be massive profit, just the fact that it's running smoothly, get some processes, refine what it is that you offer, get it going. You might even outsource it. So one of my very first businesses, my editor runs, right? She only contacts me when she needs to. She's running it, right? So you get that going, and then you go, right, that's ready to, that's self-sufficient in a way, and I just need to oversee it, and then you can start a new one. And the trick is, you can leverage off your brand and what you've achieved in the first one and use that to build your confidence and even your media or your presence or your connections to start the next one. And the more you move on that way, you are quite more powerful with your connections because they see your success behind you. But don't try and do it all at once. I made a rule that this year I'm not going to start another business because I seem to do it every year.
In my research of you, one thing's become really clear, and that is you are everywhere all at once. You appear to have the best time management skills. How do you do it?
Okay. Okay. When it comes to time management, it's really interesting. Often you are overwhelmed by the idea of what you have to get done, which takes up most of your time. If you write it down and you put it in your diary, so if you've got your phone, use your phone and schedule everything. Schedule your studies, schedule your business, schedule your time, your exercise, and it will give you a realistic view of how much you can fit into a day, right? But it'll also show you that you don't have time to spend 4 hours binge watching something every single night. You don't have time to party every Friday and Saturday night if you want to deliver on everything that you've got. So you've got to be realistic, but write it down, schedule it, have everything out of your head, because a lot of times wasted worrying about what needs to happen. And if you actually worked on things without distractions, I guarantee you'll get about 10 times more done than you've ever done before.
You were mentioning earlier before the interview kicked off that you have a technique that you use.
Yes.
Can you share it with everyone?
I sure can. And I know that my nieces use it. It's a bullet journal. So those who do bullet journaling, you can be real extreme with it, or you can be quite casual. And it's indexing the information that you have all in one actual journal. In fact, mine's in front of me right now. So, and I use the one with the dots on it. So I actually like my little dots because you can measure and rule things and everything. But essentially, you put everything in there, your weekly schedule, your monthly to-do list, and it carries over to the next month. And you index it so you know where everything is at all the time. You're not losing paper and books, and you carry it with you, and you pair that up with your calendar and your phone, and that's really all you need. When you get into really big projects that have teams and have a lot of work, I use monday.com. So, you know, when you've got 5 people working on a really big project that needs to be coordinated and people have different roles, then you go into a system. But in general, I literally use bullet journaling for a decade and not needing a system.
When you were starting out, you obviously had a lot of ideas about businesses, starting your own business. How do you know when an idea is worth a business? Like, how do you actually know when it's time to create something, that it's not just a fleeting idea that you've had?
That's a very good question. So you got to test the market, right? So if you've got an idea, and usually the idea is because you had a need and there was a gap in the market. So when there's a gap, and it means that someone else might be providing what you want to provide, but you do it differently, right? Or you do it to a different market. So you do your research and realize, you know what, there's nothing really out there, but then test the market. I always give myself 3 months and test it. So that might be starting small. You could start with, do your research, could be a product or a service, test it with a few people, ask for their feedback, see if there's a demand for it, and then you'll know within 3 months, because people start to pick up and start to take a bite of it, essentially. But don't go full into a business with 100% paying for everything. I didn't even need a website for one of my businesses. I didn't have it for 2 years. I actually just emailed people to test the market for consulting work, and it worked. So I went, right, that's definitely something to do. So test it first, whether it's using Instagram only or using your current networks, not just people that say, oh, you should do it, that's so cute, that's fun. They're not the people that are paying the bills. So you got to go to the right target market, but test it, try different things, and then be happy to say after 3 months, I'm getting rid of it.
So don't be driven by positive feedback that you get about your cupcakes and know that you should start a business.
Well, no, the thing is a lot of people, and cupcakes and cake business, for example, is a really classic example. A lot of people are like, oh, you make amazing cakes, you should sell these. So to get all the equipment and to do it all and everything can be quite, a lot of work. So what you want to do is you want to get pre-orders. So you make a couple of them and they look nice, put them on your Instagram or create an Instagram account for it. Contact your family, friends and say, would you be interested in buying this for your birthday? Map out the list of birthdays and celebrations coming up, lock them in, get them pre-ordered, get the deposits, and boom, you've got a business.
Clever. Just on social media, what's your advice to young people who might want to be an influencer or might want to harness the power of social media to really grow their business?
Well, step one, if you want to use social media for your business, be careful what you put on social media. So even if you've got a business account and a private account, no matter how private you think your private account is, there's someone in there that's going to tell someone about it, screenshot it, send it, talk about it. So if you want to be business-minded, then you're going to have to be business-minded online, right? You've got to think of your reputation and your branding. Just because you think it doesn't mean it needs to go online. If you want to be an influencer, you need to know who you're influencing and why. What is it that you can facilitate or teach or show that no one else is doing? So what is it that people are coming to you for that they can't get from somewhere else? And stay on brand. Don't change. Stick to it. Keep doing it and target those people. Don't look at some other influencer or some other business person or your friend and they're doing better than you, because it's not necessarily about the numbers. It's about the engagement. You'd rather have 2,000 people follow you and those 2,000 people buy from you rather than 200,000 people following you and no one buys from you. And I know that because I know someone who had 1.2 million people following them and they still had to shut their business down.
Right. And I guess, money that you get for a post isn't an indication either of success. Can you speak to that?
Success is about sales.
Yeah.
Right? And the thing is, it's about your profit, not even your gross income. Like people, I made X amount of money. Yeah, but how much did it cost you to make that amount of money? So profit is something to start getting comfortable understanding. So how can you get the people out in that world engaged with you? That's step one. But step two is then how can you get them to buy from you? So if you're targeting the right people, they'll hire you, they'll buy from you. If you're targeting the wrong people, you can have a whole Instagram, Facebook, all these following, TikTok, everything of the wrong people. So make sure you're very, very targeted with who you want to be on there and make it easier for them to engage and buy from you. Your link tree, your links, anything that you have, make sure it's going to somewhere where they can actually quickly purchase what it is that you're selling.
And so we were chatting before about research and knowing your target audience. How do you fine tune that audience?
Ask people, research. So for example, if you're looking, if you use cakes, for example, look up all the different hashtags. What are people searching for? What's popping up? What gets high engagement and what doesn't? You'd be surprised what people actually like and what they don't like. Test the market with the people that you know. It's just like focus groups that large companies do. Get a group of people together. If you're having a party, you've got your friends coming over and they're your target market, ask them, run your own focus group, get a feel of what they like and don't like. If it's adults that you're targeting, get your parents involved and ask them, could they ask their friends, or do it on Facebook, go into Facebook groups. They would be able to help you. Let them know that, that you're a student, and they'll let you get away with anything pretty much with market research. So do that.
Interesting that you raise age. The Academy for Enterprising Girls is aimed at girls aged 10 to 18. And sometimes we hear that their age is a bit of an obstacle. Yeah. What's your advice for those who may feel like they're not being taken seriously because of their age?
Look, age is, as a woman, age is always an obstacle because you're either too young and then you blink and then you're too old. Okay, so it's always going to be one. So don't think there's a magical number where people take you seriously. There isn't. you've got to take yourself seriously and you've got to be strategic with how you do things. For example, if you leverage off that you're a student, right, you're under 18, you can actually get into some groups and get into networks and get people to buy from you because they want to support you and it's a small business, and leverage the hell out of that, right?
Mm.
When you need to do some serious conversations, get your mentor to help you, get a parent to help you, get them to have the conversations on your behalf or with you. And there's no shame in that, because what you want is you have this end goal that you want to achieve. And if you need to bring in an adult to do that, you know, to get taken seriously, then so be it. You don't need to tell people, even when you're emailing and it's in business, how old you are and what you're doing. Unless, of course, it's going to get them over the line. Leverage it. But don't let the laughing, the mocking, oh, that's cute. You know, people can that's cute you to some good money.
You mentioned before just some pretty serious conversations and potentially bringing in some other people to bolster that sort of experience.
Yes.
How do you remain calm in those pretty heated, important conversations? What's your advice to people who might be heading into a big pitch meeting or requesting some funding? How do you keep cool under pressure?
Preparation is key. So always know your stuff. Never sell or talk on anything you don't understand. And if it's something you're passionate about, that shouldn't be a problem, right? So practice in front of yourself, in front of the mirror. I know it sounds weird and it's totally uncomfortable, but do it. Practice in front of your friends, your family, or someone, but be prepared. And don't get flustered. So the biggest thing is when you don't know an answer to a question, you say, that's a good question. I don't have the answer right now. Can I get back to you on that? Don't worry about not knowing everything. Just know what you know, right? And then learn from that. Get feedback from that presentation or that opportunity and go to the next one. If people are aggressive to you, don't take it personally. Don't respond. Let them finish and then just continue talking about what you were saying. Don't engage with that. Someone asks a question, you answer it. If you don't know the answer, you just say, I'll have to get back to you on that. Any other questions?
Great advice. You mentioned before that you are a lifelong learner, that you're constantly consuming content to keep your brain active.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would recommend? Any books, podcasts, films that you've seen that have inspired you and that you want?
That's a good question. I read nonfiction, so I don't read business books at all. And I just find that I like to have my brain stimulated and learn in different ways. For example, I'd rather learn things about numbers and accounting and do an accounting course or something like that. I love documentaries. So, for example, movies that are based on true stories or documentaries that are in line with what I like. So I like movies about justice. I love movies about understanding politics or things that are teaching me something in a way that means I can understand them. So not that I recommend this, but I even watch the hardest prisons and things like that because I want to understand what people are going through.
Right.
So I'm always, if I'm going to consume something, I want to make sure it's going to allow me to understand my market, understand the world in which I work or want to add value to, or it's filling a gap or a need in something that I have that I need to be able to deliver on that.
So essentially it's an exercise in empathy.
Yeah, it's like it's just the world can really pull you out, especially when you're in business work. It can be in your bubble, and reality TV and social media, it's all rubbish, absolute rubbish. None of it's real, right? And I know that because my friend's a producer of one, so I know for a fact none of it's real, right? So I can tell you that.
Which one?
I'm not telling you, but I can tell you none of it's real. What you want is to stay connected to the world that you want to add value in, understand more, but also be learning and learn in a way that is practical. And don't be ashamed. You don't have to tell anyone you're doing it either. It's okay not to know. I'd rather spend hours and hours on YouTube to learn how to do a podcast than spend hours and hours watching something that adds zero value to who I am.
Yeah. That's great advice and a great segue to the Academy for Enterprising Girls. How would a young Amanda have responded to an initiative and program like the Academy for Enterprising Girls, do you think?
Goodness, I wish this stuff was around when I was younger. It was a very different world back then. Young ladies, I'll tell you right now, I would have loved it. I would have jumped straight in and I'd probably be running one of these things 13. I was always, and you can tell I was always doing things at school as well. I was volunteering for this and for that, and getting prefect, and I just had to do everything and compete in everything, and I was always like that, like a raging bull. But I would have loved it, just to this webinar and then the next one and then the next one. You'll pick up just that one thing, apply it. Don't try and remember it all. Write down your points, stick it on your wall, and say, what are the 3 things that you learnt today and in the webinar that you thought, wow, that's a really good point, and you apply it to your life, and then in a year's time, it's behavioural and it's just who you are, and then you learn more. So it's a layer by layer approach.
Yeah, and it's practice makes perfect too, right?
100%. And you're never perfect. If people are going around, oh, I'm this, no, it's a constant evolution, but you just got to make sure you're evolving towards the person you want to be, not to the person other people say you should be, or they expect you to be, or they think, oh, that's all you'll make it as. So where do you want to go? And you just keep striving towards it.
And be okay with the discomfort of making mistakes and being unsure.
And asking questions.
Yeah.
Ask questions. I still do. I could be in a board meeting and I'm like, and what does that mean? Exactly. And I don't understand that. And what's this? And I'll go and research and I'll find out, and I'll know it so well. I'll know it better than the expert.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I'm guaranteed that there have been a lot of lessons learned through this webinar today. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us today, Amanda. You're excellent.
Thanks for having me. And ladies, if you're on Instagram or LinkedIn or anything like that, find me and follow me, and you can ask me any question you like.
Amazing. Thanks again, Amanda.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.